Corporate Insights Unplugged. Today, we are thrilled to have Mr. Atul Kabra, the co-founder of Doodle Kabra, joining us to share his experiences and valuable insights. Let's dive into the conversation. So, welcome all to another exciting episode of our podcast series, College to Corporate Corporate Insight Unplugged, Season 3, Episode 2. Welcome to the show that explores the fascinating world of innovation, creativity, and technology. This show is brought to you by our own club, Corporate Connect, and I am your host, Bhakti Runglecha. And today we have a special guest with us. Our esteemed guest, Mr. Atul Kabra, is an accomplished marketing professional and city dweller who thrives on exploring new territories. With extensive experience across various facets of marketing, he is dedicated to build strong connections, devising effective strategies, and delivering outstanding results. Mr. Atul's expertise spans in marketing strategies, brand development, customer and partner relationships, and creating impactful content. As the founder of Doodle Kabra, a venture dedicated to celebrating the art of doodling and spreading the creative joy, Mr. Kabra has showed his skills in entrepreneurship, project management, and community building. Beyond his professional pursuit, he finds solace in the serenity of the hills, express creativity through doodling, and embraces exhilarating outdoor adventures as well. So, Atul sir, we humbly welcome you to our podcast series and thank you for joining us. So, how are you, sir?
Thank you so much, Bhakti, for the introduction. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yes, sir. So, we had a great opportunity to go through your profile, and I must say, it is nothing short of being spectacular and impressive. We are so excited for this podcast, and as well as I'm sure our viewers are going to have a bundle of corporate insights and learning to imbibe from you. So, let's start. So, sir, can you tell us more about Doodle Kabra?
Sure. So, Doodle Kabra is all about turning your personal stories into unique and detailed doodles. So, each artwork, whatever you see, narrates a story. That could be a story about a 90-year-old person, or could be a small love story, or it could be anything. But the canvas remains the same. All the main key focus is storytelling, right? So at Doodle Kabra, we believe every story is unique and every story needs to be told, irrespective of the canvas. That could be a like wall doodle, or that could be like teaching kids at school. So Doodle Kabra is a product of pandemic. It started off in the pandemic, which was a long lost passion, right? As and when you keep growing up, you lose touch with your passions. Then the adulting happens, and then, like it said in Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, 25 pe naukri, 26 pe chokri, and the usual adulting script, right? But thanks to pandemic, it gave an opportunity to go back to what you know, which is better. So never knew that this would grow. For us, it was like, okay, it stops there. But luckily, the storytelling has resonated with so many celebrities, the brand endorsement. Now, doodling for the first time ever has become like a full-time subject at schools too, where kids are being an opportunity to, learn this particular art form. We did multiple doodle walls as well. So it's been like a very exciting journey over 3 years, and with a lot of learning still happening.
Wow, that is interesting. So, can you tell me what motivated you to take the leap from no brokerhood to full-time consultancy?
So now taking the leap from no broker road to like a full-time consultancy was deep driven by passion for creativity and desire. There was always a desire to make that bigger impact. So what happens is we often usually hesitate to take that one step, but that one step could change your entire trajectory of how exactly you want it in your career as well. Now, I believe that everybody would have an inner calling, but then nobody to follow your inner calling, you need to take that one step. That is what is required. We say that there's a push. There has to be like, wind beneath your, wind beneath your wings. but all that is within you. So you need to take in that courage and take that first step. Not that I did like move from a full-time job to a consultancy. I'm still nurturing Doodle Kabra, but till date, like I'm still working on a consultancy as well. So it can only be done when you hustle. And then hustling has always been the key. So yeah, I think life is fine, like, when there are multiple things happening, like, the following the strict routine, sometimes breaking from the routine also makes a lot of difference. So that's about, like, moving ahead.
Yeah. So can we ask you what is the creativity in your opinion, and how like us students can like add the creativity in a strict college routines and MBA like graduates and all
Okay,
management
so
studies.
creativity to me is all about seeing the world very differently and finding unique solution to the problems. It's basically about, you let your imagination run wild and being open to learn new experiences. When you said about your management curriculum, about the students, but there's always a deep driven passion which everybody holds. That could be for traveling, taking those small breaks. Maybe sitting with a friend at a coffee shop could also make a difference, right? We usually take breaks. Now that's also creative, right? If so, creativity is that's how, how do you see the world apart from others, right? You might be called crazy. Usually those crazy ideas are what made our lives very simpler, right? Who would imagine 5 years down the line about an Uber or a Ola? We always had the rickshaw walas and all the basic auto walas and all, but then that commute thing has become easier, right? Today with one simple click you can do whatever you want. But then I think once you start, people call you crazy, but it's good to be crazy. Like, you guys should be crazy. You should be self-explored, learn a lot of things, and keep meeting new people. So that's where it all comes down to. And also believe that you should also have the self-belief in you, right? Like, creativity is every and plus creativity is one genre where everybody are blessed with. Maybe you might be blessed with, somebody would be blessed with something more or less, but creativity is always there. Like, everybody has it. All you need is, like, to understand and like just self believe in it. So
That is correct. That is so true. I think that is so like this is so relatable. We could relate it.
So it's only when, like, when you stop thinking from, like, when you stop questioning the boundaries, right? When you start questioning and you break free from those conventional thinking which all of us have put in that loop, right? Okay, 9 o'clock, exams, semesters, what do you summer internships,
Someone
now
else.
placements. But then you forget to lose yourself between all this entire process, right? But having in whole, that's when they say, right, take breaks. The college life is most important. All those they say that's the best phase which everything can happen, and this is where all you can explore also. And plus today in current day and age also, if you see, there are so many options for everybody, right? Today a 60 like creativity, and there's no age barrier, there's no gender biases, there's nothing. A person is even able to start his business as 45 today and at the age of 16 also. So there's nothing of that sort. What timing? Only the thing is the timing needs to be crucial about when you're starting it out. That's about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So, can you tell us some of the pivot movements in your life, in your career that influenced you to approach to branding?
Okay, so there's nothing like one single pivotal moment as such. Every day has been a learning.
Yeah.
Every brand has been a learning, and that's how you keep progress, right? So the most thing was always having that deep driven passion for storytelling. I knew storytelling is what has always been very interesting to me as a concept and everything, right? Today, if you see every brand, somehow or the other is telling a story. That could be any story, and that what is being selling also. So it's only about learning every day, and then and then things fall into place automatically, right? And whether you do, like, branding, whether it is for your self branding or branding for a particular business, right? It's all about, again, like, it falls down to your storytelling also, right? And also there's nothing like a right branding or wrong branding. A negative branding is also a branding. You're putting their brand across. So
Yes.
that can also, get you places. Imagine, like, during the pandemic, how many homegrown products, right, have reached out, like making more than like what actual enterprises are making today, right? when it came down to Shark Tank, when you see, it's all about like your creativity, right? And there were so many learnings, but all that it comes only from your experiences and your day to day, like what you're following in your life. And then that's once it's done, right, that storytelling hits the right audience, the right sentiment, it what makes a brand more memorable and more impactful also, right? If I have to ask you, right, like say, what's your favorite brand?
Amul,
Why Amul now?
because it is very relatable and they keep up to the trend. Like what is going on right now, they'll update, they'll put it in Instagram or various websites, probably
Yeah, so
Instagram or
basically, see,
wherever.
it's always there, right? All of us have a favorite
Yes.
brands. Maybe you might like some other butter, but at the end of the day, you have resonated with them and their aspect of storytelling. And that's most important, right? And they have grown over the years. Initially, they have grown over the years. If you see that mascot, you know, okay, this is Amul. So that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's impactful it has to be. And that's how you keep learning also, right? So that's most important.
Yeah, that is the thing I liked about Amul. How they put their ads, as well as the ads, they try to connect with you emotionally as well. To my parents, to the old times as well as the new times.
Correct. So that's what happens, right? You basically one single, you're being able to connect with all the audiences, right? So that's the most important beauty aspect. Even the colors they use, everything, even the doodle formats they use, everything has been so attractive about them. And the messaging has always been strong, irrespective. So that's the most important thing. Even though they might change the tone of it, the tonality might change. Many people go for rebranding of a product, right? Why do you think rebranding happens? But then it happens only because reaching out to the right segment, right? You might not know a logo, a brand logo has multiple things. For you and me, it might just be like a simple logo, but there's a
Yes.
story behind every logos also. Why are they in the way they are? So that's the thing.
Okay. And then can you tell me like how you're so busy with the schedule and everything? Like as someone who like you also love the scenery of hills. What are the learnings of the hills that you have applied in your professional?
So hills, like it said, right? Pahado mein nasha, and it's very true. Trust me when I say this. What happens? So the hills basically teaches you about a lot of patience, your persistence, and the beauty of the journey, right? So everybody has destined to certain journey, and but celebrating those smaller milestones, reaching on the pinnacle of it, right? There's the different vibe altogether. And also when they say like also the serenity, when you mention about the serenity of the hills also, it also teaches you to stay grounded and stay calm, which is mostly required, right? And hills also teaches you that nobody is big or nobody is small. Everything has come from a very simple vision and a very clear mind. So given a chance anytime, I even till date, like if I for me, even if I'm down somewhere or I need a break, I still head back to the hills and all, because it just imagine sitting on top of a hill with the fresh air and then coming back with the renewed energy or insight. Because hills work for me. Maybe beaches might work for you. So everybody is different, right? But then that's what when I mention about, you need to take those small breaks. These are the breaks for me. And like hills any day for me. Like, so that's always been there.
That is very interesting.
Because the calmness which they have, and keeping that focused mindset, because one step wrong, you might be on the either side of the hill also, right? So it always keeps you focused, it always keeps you on the feet, it helps you, it makes you celebrate those smaller milestone which you have said. That's how I apply in my life, right? Today, like maybe we might celebrate this milestone together, me sitting with IBS also today. So this is also a milestone, right?
Yes, that is true too. As I also like the heels. So at a point when I was at the top, I feel like nothing matters. Like at
Yeah.
the up at the peak, it doesn't matter who is who.
And
Everyone is equal
also,
and same.
correct. And also the journey, right? Like the
Yeah.
journey to the hills always been rocky, but when you reach on the top, it's where you realize, okay, there's too much, like there's so much, right? And apply the same thing in your life, right? Today, like one mark less or more, right? We get worried, we get bogged down with what is happening. Imagine your Instagram is not working today for like next 24 hours. You might go crazy, like what's happening in your life, right? Because that's how we have been trained, right? That's how our
Yeah.
systems are being there, right? But then at hills there's nothing. It's such a beautiful feeling there, right? That break is important.
So true, so true. So, sir, can you tell me some of the challenges that you have faced while establishing your brand?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenge when you face, right, is about standing out and in that crowded market, right? Many of us struggle in finding your own voice, and many of us we keep struggling, right, to find their own unique voices. But then that's the main thing. The second one was the consistency of your brand messaging, right? Maybe like here I'm putting in different way, there I'm putting in different way, but there has to be consistency. When you mentioned Amul, right, it was catering to everybody, like every age group. So that's most important. And then connecting emotionally with the audience, right? Luckily, my doodles and my aspect of storytelling, everybody has resonated with him because you see a reflection of yourself. So that
Hmm.
emotional aspect has been done, but then making sure that consistency of it being is followed, right? That's the most important thing. Even like say if you walk into like a store today, say for an example, you walk into like a fast track store, but with the colors, with how the waters are being kept, everywhere it's simple, right? The tonality has always been the same for every brand. It's not that you walk into a fast track store in Bombay and a fast track store in Hyderabad. There's no difference. It's the same thing. So that's the most important thing also. So I believe that it's like a party and you are the DJ and everybody, and plus it's a party where everybody has a different taste in music. All you need to do is find the perfect mix so that resonates with all of us. And in this digital age, adapting quickly to the trends to make sure always, but also you should keep in mind the authenticity why you started off a brand and being loyal to it. So that's the most important to it, right? You should always be grounded to the core values and the principles. You're starting off with something and not losing yourself in that process of, making sure you go on the top and all. Growth, slow growth is fine. It's beautiful. It's a journey again. So you should be that, that's how you keep learning and all. Like that's what my learning has been there. That's when you start building a meaningful collection. That's where everything happens. So that's how your brand resonates now, right? So
Right.
I hope I have answered you right. Like
Yes, sir. So, sir, can you tell me, like, for someone like you who have such a wide era of expertise in the in this segment, so can you give us the pointers as how to navigate a fresher's journey throughout the field of branding?
okay, so basically what happens as a fresher, okay, for you need to have immerse yourself into the industry, right? Firstly, understanding the landscape is very crucial, right? It's a jungle. But where do you fall in that line? It's the most important thing where every person has to understand. And then you should, all of us are being told network. Networking has always been there. Like an MBA person, I believe, people at an MBA level, networking is the most important aspect that will open doors for you guys getting into new opportunities and many insights also. And try gaining as much as like those hands-on experiences, right? Get into like the right set of internship. Do not think that an internship, why do you think an internships are even there? Internships are there so that you're prepared for the real world scenario, right? Right now in college, all of us are in very closed doors. We are fine with whatever is happening around. Internship is basically to make sure where's your footing in the practical world. So those internships are very important, and your openness to learning also, right? One cannot be very adamant. They should be open to those criticism also. Like why is, and always questioning why, like, why is this happening, right? And then, you should understand also, like you should learn from the failures. Failures are fine, like, it's, but you can't like, fine, be sad for a day. Okay, what's next now? You can't be having that thing in your mind even if you want to even move forward, okay? And like I mentioned, you should travel and observe, because that's where you travel and observe, you understand different cultures. Do you see like various brands, like say Amul also, right? Like since you started with Amul does a different branding in Kerala. When I say the messaging is the same, but maybe they might change the alphabets, right? They might write in the regional language.
Hmm.
Why do they write, right? Like not that people, so not that people do not understand Amul, they see the logo, it's more than enough, but they do it. So understanding why people are doing all those things, and also you should get an habit of thinking out of the box also, right? You might think you're crazy, but that's fine. You never know how it will kick off, right? So those are like the important things, like what we have followed, and I think everybody should do the same now. So yeah, and get into right, like have the right mentors to guide you. All those things are important, and also I believe, everybody who's getting into branding and all should have like, brandy autosphere blog, right? Reading those blogs about it, and you should try and the case studies, basically, like you always have case studies, right? Like
Yes.
IBS has lot many case studies on marketing, but those case studies, we think it's just for that particular time as an assignment, but why are they doing it, right? Every case study asks you a question. In your opinion, if you were there, what would you do? So start thinking out of the box, start exploring those unsaid seas and all. So that's most important.
Okay. So, sir, can you tell me how did the MBA build a base for your creative career journey?
So now when it comes down to MBA, right? So what we have always thought, like those 4 P's of marketing, those all remains the same, right? The basic business principles are always the same. It's only how do you implement it. That's the most important thing which an MBA has given me, right? So having like a proper structure way to move forward, right? Remember, we had this thing also. Where are we now? What do we want? Where do we want to go there? How do we go there? It's not like just for the 5 markers thing. You apply it in real life as well, in every situation also. Apart from that, like, very much a strategic thinking, because MBA doesn't, it's not mostly about your studies or educate, like studies are important, guys, but then there's different college fairs when you start to network, try getting those brand sponsors and all. So basically your training has already been started, and those connects will always help you. Because once you're put in a situation about something, right? Say, imagine right now during the podcast, if something happens, you will come up with a solution immediately to solve that problem. All those things an MBA can only give you. And the most important thing is the confidence, right? And for sure, even if you're wrong in a presentation, we can still stand strong there and finish it off. And
Yes.
all of us have done that, right? One night before, just making those presentations and still doing it. That confidence is what an MBA only does. Like nobody else can, like, impart that in you, like, the practical knowledge. So an MBA is like always very crucial. But now again, it depends it depends from student to student also, right? Like with what perspective and what motive you join. Today people join MBA at 25, people join MBA at 45 also. So there's reason why people are still, falling into doing understanding business principles and all, because your groundwork needs to be very clear, and MBA gives you that groundwork. The foundation is being laid at that time, and later it's up to you, how do you want to make your bungalow.
That is right. So, sir, can you tell us what will be the issues or challenges we will face during, presently or currently in this scenario for the
So when it
branding?
in terms of, like, say, the scenario, the challenges which you can encounter towards like the journey, right? There would be like a basically the transition, or no, a transition of a student into a corporate world. That is one biggest thing which every MBA faces, right? You might get into a loop of understanding that, okay, that company is paying more, I have to go for that company. But it's not about the company, right? The pay should be your last priority when you start off with, but you only focus about yourself. What do you want? How do you see yourself, right? Maybe you might start small, but somewhere or the other you'll obviously end big, right? And you should learn to make mistakes. Like, today's generation is pretty much scared to make those mistakes, right? They want everything to be perfect, but things doesn't work like that, right? Learn to make mistakes and accept those mistakes is the most important aspect also. And learn to balance act, right? It's okay, you guys can go have fun, but if you have a responsibility tomorrow morning, you have to fulfill that, right? And also always be street smart. Do not have those bookish knowledge. You have to be like, more strong, and you should always be adaptive to, whatever changes are coming in your way, right? You should be adaptive. Imagine, like, say, our parents today are using Instagram. They're able to book their own cabs and all, right? If they could have been
Right.
adaptive at this age, like, say, my nani does it. So, like, imagine, like, we are still like pretty much growing, right? So stop being adamant and always question the societal norms, right? Nobody tells you that this is the time. Okay, ho gaya, abhi padhai khatam, काम, शादी. Not required, right? Everybody has a cycle to follow. follow that, but then be honest to yourself. That's the most important thing.
Oh, yes, I agree with you totally. So, sir, can you tell us, like, how did you discover Doodle Kabra?
So now like doodle. So I was always good. Like, so basically, like, okay, I'll ask you one thing. Have you been scribbling behind your notebooks?
Yes.
Yes. Have you been scribbling those names and all? So yeah, that's the first thing where all of us have learned, right? The first thing when you got a pencil in your hand, you were scribbling. Now doodling is basically giving meaning to those lines and scribbles, right? And then, so doodling as a concept is bigger, right? For me, my concept is into storytelling, right? You might have a different aspect. So that's how it started. But then luckily what happened, then obviously you're growing up, your education comes into place, you have been traveling, and then all these things take a back seat somewhere or the other, right? Like for everybody. But then once you get that time and it's given you an opportunity to get back, right? That thanks to pandemic, I had an opportunity to get back to the doodling aspect, right? And then it started off from there. To be honest, I'll be very honest, even the page and the logo was done by a friend because they believed they had that much confidence that this is gonna grow big. Till date, even I am still figuring it out, like what's happening next also, right? Every day is a new day, every day is a new thing. So that's how Doodle Cabra started, like, and that's the journey which we have taken today. Like, we have worked like with the biggest people, like if like maybe like, or the celebrities could be your Kareena Kapoor. And trust me when I say this, there's no free PR which was done, right? When
Right.
people start resonating with you, the irrespective which part of the country you are or world you will reach there, but all you have to be is very much consistent and all. I'll tell you a small story, okay? So there was this one time where I receive a message over Instagram, okay, like asking for a doodle, but seems very common to me, right? Some wife wants a good cute doodle for her husband, and that needs to be done and all. Imagine we have spoken on the calls, everything has been done, and the doodle was sent. Afterwards, I get to know that doodle has reached at the Gautam Adani's office, and
Wow.
I was not aware of it, right? Imagine, like, I was in shock that, okay, shit, like, because imagine, some you might think it's a random message or a random DM, and why would anybody of that stature also, right? It's only when you have that belief in yourself, and it's only when people start resonating with it, right? So that's the most important thing. And thankfully, that's what till date, like, people resonate with Doodle Kabra. That's how today when we go teach at schools also, there's nothing like a doodling curriculum. So
Hmm.
teaching those tiny tots, right? I teach kids from PP1 till even 10 graders. So that's most important aspect. Even like, say if I ask you, like, do you do brain mind mapping, right? Like, say if a difficult concept, you try breaking them down into different bits and pieces
Yes.
to understand. Maybe you have a different like memory techniques and all to use. All that is doodling. If you think about it, it's all doodling, right? You're making a very simplified story in a very smaller, concise manner. That's most important. That was one story which I tell always, right? Imagine like Kareena Kapoor, how much, like, say Kareena Kapoor, the doodle was sent to her. Why would you expect somebody like, putting it, endorsing a brand which has even paid you and which is just like growing, like, with how much, 3,000 followers maybe right now? It's still growing, but she has reposted it.
Repeat.
And there was nobody which has put up gunpoint and you'll have to do it, right? Somebody of that stature. But there's something you ask, right? Why might she might have done it also? There might be some reason behind it for her to do it also, because she might have resonated. She saw a reflection of herself in that entire story. So that's where people strike a chord, right? We think that, okay, you need to have so much funds to start something. You need to have, all you need to do is be true to yourself, have that creative liberty, and you think outside the lines, and then things fall into place automatically. But you'll have to be like, grounded. Like, that's where hills comes into picture, right?
Correct. Okay. So, can you tell me what are your future plans?
So moving forward, like, to be very honest, like, next thing what's gonna happen, big thing for Doodle, we might get into more different products altogether. Because right now, to be honest, we are only like on single product as such. We want to get into like different products altogether. So that might be the next step target, like, for Doodle Kabra. And then eventually set up like hopefully set up like a Doodle, like an office as such. Hopefully that might happen. So still figuring it out. I'm telling you, that's what, like, each day has been a learning. Like, each day has been a learning, and I live each day like one day at a time. So that has always been there, and one doodle at a time, and one this thing at a time. So that has always been there.
Yeah, that is very interesting. So, sir, can you give us like overall, can you give us suggestions or insights or like how the experience of your sharing and your knowledge like how can we inculcate in our lives?
See, not every so how it happens, like, say, this has been like a fulfilling experience, that's for sure, right? And you guys understanding the concept of storytelling is also the most important. That's what we have been doing, right? Like,
Yes.
both of us, we are still talking stories today. But then always you guys need to, like, stay hungry and stay foolish is not just like, a quote, it's the reality, right? And also, like, say when Shah Rukh Khan said, अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो सारी कायनात तुम्हें उससे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है, and that's very true. Run, maybe you're working hard today and you see no results doesn't mean you're a failure. That might hit off some days later, but have you put down your efforts today? That's the most important aspect, right? When you start questioning yourself, it's where you're winning the battles and all. People at this age, they say they get like, what do you say? How do I put this? So having, like, people have forgotten the feeling of gratitude. Like, you should have that gratitude, right? Like, at the end, that feeling always carries on, right? Today might have helped somebody. This might help you years back today, right? Like, say, if I had maintained good relationship, that's what happens at corporate. Like, we do corporate relationships and all. These are most important because you never know what might click when, but then still maintaining and having that feeling of gratitude is the most important, with every most of the people, like, tend to understand or fail, right? So that feeling should not be there. And also, take risk. You can't be like, in that square box and that's it, right? Like, there's too much to the world, there's too much to all of us. So you'll have to understand all those things also, because those things are very important. So that I think everybody should carry.
That is something our professor also said that the failure is not you failing or like trying and losing. It is always like whenever you give up, it is that is the failure.
Yeah.
The thing when you make mistakes are the experience which you should learn from it again and again and try it.
So that's what those experiences are most important, right? So that's why when you say, right, learn to make mistakes,
Yes.
learn to accept making mistake is fine. All of us make mistakes, but accepting is the most hardest part, right? And having that gratitude towards it is another aspect, right? Because everything is a learning. Everything, if you see, is a learning, right? You never know what you might think that why did we learn Newton laws? But we had to, right? Like, for that time it was like a two marker. Oh, दो mark का है, पढ़ना पड़ेगा, ठीक है. Now, somewhere or the other, that comes into place, right? Like, somewhere or the other, all the concept what we have been taught, like, say, branding also, right? What aspects we are taught, the Maslow theory of hierarchy, it's very true. Every brand, somewhere or the other, definitely follows it, but they might not tell it out aloud, right? But it's for us to understand, okay, these are the needs which you have been fulfilling, right? Those needs could be your personal life, or it could be in terms of a business or professional life, but those things are very important, and you do not know when what comes also, right? Because when we were doing MBA, for me it was a 6 marker question. I was like, ठीक है, 4 paper भरना है, marks आएगा. That's how the mentality works, right? Back then in school and all, it's like, okay, shit, like, this is 4 marker, so that's how it's supposed to be. But then all those things come handy, like, somewhere or the other, all those things will and should come handy also. So just learn from those experiences, guys, and travel has travel should be your key, at least for now, right? Make friends,
Hmm.
travel, because this time also do not come again, right? How much ever we want to go back to our MBA days, we cannot, right? All of us cannot meet together also, like, either one or two of them might be missing, but that usually happens. That's your adulting. But then it's fine. So live for those moments today, and do not, and also do not worry so much about kya hoga. Stay calm. Your journey has been written. It will fall into place. It's only for you to explore, have that courage, and get that self kick in you, and things will be good.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have covered a lot of insightful things and we have learned a lot, I feel. So, sir, how was your experience of sharing your knowledge with the audience?
But it's a good thing, right? Like maybe I have learned something from you. You might guys have learned something from me, right? It's always good to connect, right? And what you guys are doing at IBS, it's most important thing because you never know with whom do you connect, right? You might have there are times where an instant connection is formed within minutes also, right? You never know how do you resonate. Why do we have like favorite teachers? Right, not that we like all our faculties, right? We respect all of them, but there are few who always remember. Every teacher will have that student whom they remember, and your name by that batch, right? ये आप उसके batch के हो ना बोलकर. Why does that happen, right? Like it's not a bad thing or a good thing, but it's so nice, right? You never know when our paths might cross, right? You never know when our paths might cross. At the end, that feeling is the most important aspect, and it's so good like you guys are doing this, and because it's most important also today, right? You're already ready for the world, I believe. Like we never had all these opportunities.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir, for having us on board. It was truly a pleasure to have this podcast with you, and I'm sure our audience will be very happy and will have an amazing insights from this podcast. Yeah,
Sure. Thank you so much. It was
thank
very
you, sir.
nice having you guys. Yeah, do follow Doodle Kabra if you, you know, have some story. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can like, take in my contact details from Pooja as well. If there's something you guys need to talk or something about, always there. So yeah,
Definitely. Thank you so much, sir.
thank you so much.
So have a great day.
Thank you so much, Bhakti. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for joining into the episode 2. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We are also on Spotify now, so follow us on social media for more such great content. Stay tuned for episode 3.